Welcome everybody to this video where I will be showing you the results of the past couple of weeks of work on the knock-on effect prototype, and I will simply walk through Milestone 1 and what it looks like today. So I started working on the prototype for knock-on effect, which I plan to be a turn-based tactics game, a bit of mix between XCOM and Jagged Alliance, but I'd like to think it'll have a bit more of a storyline, single player storyline focus. And I decided working on a small prototype to showcase and to try out certain of the elements I really want in there. And I named the prototype the cabin. I thought of a little scenario where there's two special forces soldiers and they need to capture a criminal overlord called the Kingpin. And they need to get him to an extraction point. Of course, there will be plenty of opposition along the way. They'll have to shoot people, but they need to get the Kingpin out alive. That's the little background story for the prototype. And I started working on it about 3 weeks ago. I split it up in different milestones. And for the first milestone, I just wanted to try out basic concepts of, I wanted to have characters, have them walking, try to define a mission start, a mission success, failure conditions, and have some scripted events, cutscenes along the way, because I think those will be very important for my telling of the story. So I think I made some good progress there, and I'll just walk through the current state of the prototype with you. So let's start the game. This is landing screen. Okay, and if I start the game, so what happens now is we get like the intro cutscene, which is also the briefing of the mission. So the soldiers arrive on the scene, they let the Overwatch, who's somewhere in some base somewhere, know that they have arrived, and they will be now looking for the Kingpin. And Overwatch informs them that, okay, the Kingpin should be somewhere over there, the extraction zone should be somewhere further on, but hey, be careful. We're seeing from aerial surveillance that there is reinforcements coming up, which is probably the pickup to take the Kingpin out of the country. So basically this sets up the scenario where later on in the game, more opposition will arrive and it'll become more hard for the player to finish the game correctly. But that will be something for milestone 4 or 5, I don't know. So after the intro cutscene, that's it. So then the game starts. So here we see the current playing field. I have 3 characters. These are obviously the 2 special forces, and here's the Kingpin. So the idea is that the special forces should get close enough to the Kingpin so they can take him captive, and then they should get him, all of them, they should get to the extraction zone, which is green here. If they manage to do that with the Kingpin being captive, then the mission is successful. But if the Kingpin manages to reach one of these 2 red zones while he is not captured, then they will fail because he will escape. So setting up a playing field, spawning the characters, that was the first part of what I had to do. And then I set up some controls so I can easily, switch characters, either tap or clicking on them. If I hover over any character here in the top right, I get a little bit of context information, which currently is just the name. At the bottom, you can see the actions that the characters can do. There's some action points that they have, which I'm currently only showing at the top right. So for example, this is a Needle, and he can either walk somewhere, which uses up 1 action point. And now that I walked somewhere, you can see that the only other action that I can still do is walk, because it is pink, because that's the only action that takes 1 action point. Running would take 2. Now Saint can still run, so let's say that I will run really close. There you go. I added a little bit of noise on the footsteps as a tryout. So now Saint's turn is finished because he doesn't have any action points anymore. So if I explicitly select him again, he can't do anything. But Needle still can. He still has 1 action point, and he could also, for example, walk up to the Kingpin. So now it's the Kingpin's turn. Maybe just a little bit. I have added some camera controls. You can rotate the camera, zoom in, zoom out. This is pretty basic for turn-based tactics games. I think it's I find it important for myself. I really want to have this game working on the consoles as well. So I immediately added gamepad controls. So if I switch to the gamepad, what you see is that the mouse cursor disappears. So let me do that again. So now we see there's a little mouse cursor. But once I switch to the gamepad, the game knows, oh, now you're using gamepad, and it can adjust controls and later on UI. So this is all gamepad controlling. That works just fine. A little cute thing I added at the bottom left is like a little face camera. I didn't want to go for static avatars to see which character you selected, so I thought let me just add a little dynamic face camera, which is more fun. So now it's the enemy turn. Of course, later on, the enemy, you will not be controlling the enemy manually, right? That will be AI, but that's something for maybe the next milestone already, maybe the one after that. So for now, I just play like the enemy myself. So let's say that, oh no, I am surrounded. Let me quickly run away to the escape area. And let's now say that, we are too late as a special forces. So our purpose is we need to get in the red area here, close enough to the Kingpin, and then we need to have one action left so we can capture him, because see, now I ran, I'm in the red area, except I can't capture him anymore because I don't have an action left. Okay, so let's just end the turn manually and let's see what happens if the Kingpin reaches the escape zone. Oh, and we go into a cutscene saying that, oh no, we're too late, we lost the package and the mission has failed. If you saw, once I trigger a cutscene, the UI disappears, so we can really focus on the story happening. This is something I can play with later on. But okay, so this is what happens if the Kingpin escapes. Let me just start up the game again. All right, I'm gonna skip some of the intro cutscene here. There's no way to skip it completely yet. And now let's see what happens when we capture the Kingpin. Okay, I'm going to I'm gonna have Saint capture the Kingpin. I'm going to manually enter the turn. And now Saint selects the capture action. You see the green area disappears because that's the walking area. That illustrates how far a character can walk with the action points he has. If I go to capture, then there's no walking involved. And now I can capture the Kingpin. And we get this little cutscene that says, hey, throw down your gun. And look, he puts up his hands because now he is a captive. Now the soldiers signal in to Overwatch that, okay, they have him captured. Then the game will change state because the helicopter will be sent. More enemy reinforcements will arrive. And they'll have to try to get through the extraction point, all three of them, while keeping the Kingpin captive. Of course, there's a little caveat here. There's now a green circle, and the captor, so in this case this is like Saint who captured the Kingpin, he needs to stay inside the larger area to make sure that the Kingpin does not escape again. Okay, I'll show what happens. So okay, now I can walk out of the area and turn, and immediately, because I am out of the area, it says here the Kingpin has escaped from captivity. However, I noticed there's a little bug here because now it's the enemy turn and he can't do anything because he was just captured. So let me just capture him again, this time with needle. I capture the Kingpin again, and now you'll see I don't get the big cutscene anymore because we only want to see that once, right? We don't want to, so I had to add some conditions there to detect have we played something yet, so we don't do it twice. Okay, if I now end the player's turn, again, now it's the enemy turn, but you can see I can't do anything here because Kingpin is captured. And if I go back to the player's turn, now we can see that there's a third character added here and the player can control Kingpin. So I can control Kingpin, however, I cannot run. Because there's conditions when you're captured, I mean, he's not going to be very cooperative, right? So he's just going to walk slowly to where you want him to go. And now I need to always make sure that I stay in the yellow area. Now, if I switch to Saint, For Saint, the big area is red because he can transfer the captive. So I can say, okay, you know what? Why don't I take over the captive here? And so sorry, I don't see what's happened. Okay, so yeah, Saint has taken Kingpin captive, so he has taken over. So now I'm going to end the turn, still can't do anything. Yeah, that's my cat in the background. So now you can see that Needle is free to move further as he wants, but it is now Saint that needs to stay in the yellow area of the Kingpin to make sure that the Kingpin doesn't escape. So let's say that I don't let him escape and all of us get to the extraction zone correctly. So I'm just manually ending turns by pressing End short key, which is a bit faster. Okay, so now Saint is also in the extraction zone, and now one Kingpin also enters the extraction zone. Here we go, the helicopter arrives. They made it to the extraction zone. They all get in and they fly away, and the mission is successful. And that's it. That's all I have developed on Milestone 1. I'm quite happy with the results. I have some character movement. I have the basics of actions. I have turn management. I can do things during turns, test success, failure conditions. And I have cutscenes and dialogues, which I find very important because I want to play around with that a lot. So that's the first milestone of my prototype. For the next one, I'm not sure yet what I'll be working on specifically. I'll think more about that, define the specifics in the next couple of days. It'll probably be another sprint of 2-3 weeks that I'll be working on things. I'm pretty sure I'll start with adding some guns. Maybe not shooting, but visually adding some guns at least. And then possibly I'll move on either to adding some opposition and then shooting, or might be more interesting, some field of view and some stealth basic setup, because I think that'll be important as well. And maybe try to move on as soon as possible to the AI controlling the Kingpin to make it into an actual game-like thing. Yep. That's it. That's a Milestone 1 showcase. Thank you all for watching, and I'll hope you'll be here again in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye.